Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. I'd love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Joe Killinger on the line, and he's a founder over at Joe Killinger. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Adam.
So I'm excited to get more into what you're doing over at Joe Killinger. I know it's an umbrella company, and you have a lot of different things going on, and we're gonna get into all of that. But before we do, let's get in background a little bit. So how'd you get started in business and in your career?
Well, my family my father was a real estate auctioneer, or actually an auctioneer, and he ended up dabbling in real estate. And I just kind of got the bug for real estate investing at a very young age, and ended up moving to California in the 80s and got my real estate license and just slowly worked my way through. I started as a residential real estate agent and then worked my way into commercial real estate and figured out that the brokerage was a great way to go. Also, I wanted to be a real estate investor. And so under my company, the joker.co, we have Commercial Brokers International, and it's a commercial brokerage company based in Los Angeles. But we do also service investment sales around the country in LLC Property Management. It's a full-service property management company in Los Angeles. And then we have Wire Foundation as something new that we're starting on. That is a nonprofit foundation that is being set up to help young ladies from marginalized communities that want to get into real estate as a career, finding mentors for them to work with. So I got a lot of teams in place.
What a story, and I like the way it's obviously built, from a young age. And that being said, and I think that that kind of leads into our second part, which is obviously you're already doing this through Wire, but what are some of the tips or the things, because obviously now you're much further along in your career in real estate, you've become accomplished, done a lot of deals, worked on a lot of things. For those newbies that are out there that are listening to this right now, that are maybe even going into their first deal and they're kind of hesitant / don't know where to start. What kind of advice do you give to that newbie that's out there thinking about real estate as a career?
If you're really thinking about real estate as a career, you want to find a mentor that can really help you get headed down the right path, which is something, the way I got started is kind of the hard way. You just start, you failed, and I was very lucky in a few instances, but I have some failures. And, find a mentor that you really already going down the path that you want to go down, and bring value to that mentor. Don't just call up and say, hey, I want to mentor with you, as I'm sure they're getting calls every day. What you want to do is call up this person and say, listen, what is your weakness and how can I help you with that weakness? Bring value to the table. And so it took me a lot of years to figure that out, that, finding somebody that it just makes it a lot easier.
I laugh at this all the time because I think that creating value for some people that are in some pretty high positions has become so easy for some younger generation. I'll give a quick example. So, for example, there's a lot of people out there that are good with social media just because you grew up with it. There's a lot of very successful people in real estate that would just be so excited if you set up their Facebook page for their company, which will take you 5 minutes. Think about how to add value. You can do some sweat equity, so to speak, on some things where in the past, what were you going to offer to provide value? A cup of coffee, you're just getting started.
Shoveling dishes.
Now you can actually provide a tangible value and figure it out on YouTube just because they don't have the time. You do. So love that, Joe. I just wanted to throw in that little bit about how to add value for those that are like, well, how do I add value to somebody that already has accomplished or has all this money or whatever else? You can, trust me.
I don't think that ever stops. I think as you're growing in your career, especially in the real estate sales, you're always, the only way you're going to get ahead is bring value to people in your marketing, what you're doing every day. You always have to bring value.
That's awesome. Let's switch it up a bit, Joe. I want to get into what you're doing over at Joe Killinger. I know you mentioned a couple of things at a surface level. Let's go a little bit further into what you're doing, please.
Yeah, that website was built out of frustration. I was traveling a lot and I'd get into like an Uber or a Lyft, and, I'd be talking to the people, and they'd ask, what do you do? You're making small talk. And so I'm in real estate sales and investments. I go, I want to do that. And then you'd get into a conversation with them about, well, what are you doing to learn the business? And they're spending money going to these conferences, and there's a couple guys that are out there that really do well putting these conferences on, and they named one of them, and they said, I went to his conference. I said, well, how much you spend? And they said, about $800. And, this is a driver that, was new at it. And I said, well, did you have that money to spend? He goes, no, not really. I said, okay, well, what did you get out of it? He goes, I got a nice book. And I'm like, okay. And I said, well, why don't you get on YouTube? There's plenty to see. He goes, well, I don't really know where to go. So we started creating a YouTube channel, and we created this website as a place for people that wanted to either get into real estate investing or they want to become a real estate agent, and we put content up there that is free for people to go see. We write blogs, we post videos. I mean, none of it's great. I mean, it's not, as far as the quality of the content is very, very useful. But it's really just a great place to go. And then under that, that's the parent company. And then we have our Commercial Brokers International that is a small firm in Los Angeles. What we're doing is we're trying to really set ourselves apart from a lot of the bigger firms. I mean, if you go in, we started doing marketing years ago, which is highly unusual for a commercial real estate company. And if you Google a commercial broker in Los Angeles or commercial brokerage, we're going to come up in front of almost all the national players because we've been doing it for so long. And we still, every day, we're putting new content out. And so we're doing a smaller platform. Right now our office is going to be, we're at 10 agents now. I'm going to take it up to 14. We look for very entrepreneurial real estate agents. We bring them in, give them all the tools they want, and then we give them a higher split than what is the normal for the industry. Which we figure that if we've got top quality people, they need to be paid the best splits. And so our plan is to get this office completely full operating, and then we're going to open a few more offices around Southern California. And we're having some pretty good success with that. So, and then we have LLC. Go ahead. No, I was just going to talk about LLC Property Management. It's just a full-service property management company that we have here, and it's going well too. And it also, the reason I bring that up is anything our agents bring in, they get a referral fee from our property management, so it kind of works well together. We look for a way to monetize everything for our agents to receive some fees.
That's awesome. Any kind of trends that you care to comment on from your vantage point in your market and in real estate in general?
Oh, I'm starting to see that the commercial real estate industry is evolving pretty quickly. I mean, younger generations coming into it, and they're bringing a lot of the tech with it. You know, they're very tech savvy. They're moving into these positions where they're decision makers now. And so you're seeing younger generation getting in and being very successful because they know how to reach people. You know, they're doing more than just the cold calls and the flyers and all that. And then you're seeing more women get in the industry, and that's kind of what started our Wire Foundation, is because we want to see more women get into the industry. So those two things, I think, it's just really starting to evolve. You saw residential real estate evolve first. You know, those agents were always a little bit more open to trying the new marketing that was out there and available to them. Commercial real estate is starting to do that as well.
That's awesome, and I see that too, by the way. So now it's you're right, like real estate agents proper. I mean, that weren't in commercial. They had to do a lot of things from the beginning. But now I'm starting to see a lot of the commercial guys start to move over and start to use social media and other tools, and I'm like, oh, they're getting it now. I get it.
Yeah.
Somebody else is probably eating their lunch now. So sometimes you gotta go a little bit slower. You can't really just bank on expertise. You know what I mean? You have to do those other things so that people can find you. What it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. And diversification is something else. It used to be in the commercial real estate industry, you got in and did one asset class. And that's great. I mean, that's really have to have a focus on one asset class. But I'm telling you, if there's a downturn and you're just doing investment sales, I mean, we opened our office 15 years ago, a little bit before the last downturn. And Adam, then when the downturn happened, it was one night. It's just like everything shut off. And the phone stopped ringing. And so if you're in investment sales, those guys were dying on the vine right away. All of our agents at that time knew how to do office subleasing, And so instead of doing investment sales, there's a lot of companies that needed to downsize. A lot of companies took advantage of the downturn and took up space, or some just renegotiated their lease. So our agents did very, very well in that downturn. So having a little diversification, I'm not saying know how to do everything, but you should, if you're for example, investment sales, you should know how to do a lease, office and retail lease as well. So you got to be smart about your future.
Great advice there. So Joe, if somebody's listening to this and they want to follow up to learn more about any of the businesses that you've mentioned, what's the best way for them to get that info?
On LinkedIn, just under Joe Killinger. Instagram is at Joe Killinger. I keep it pretty simple. And the website is Joe Killinger, KILLINGER.co. You can find me everywhere.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Joe, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and also all the great work you're doing. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And, Joe, thanks again for coming on the show.